Hello, everybody, and welcome into Blue Jays Today, where your boys always have something to say about the Toronto Blue Jays. Coming to you from the Sports Interaction Studio, I'm your host, Nicholas Playlock.
And I'm your host, Adam Peddle. And today, guys, we got a new report about a potential closer that the Blue Jays could be looking at signing this winter. We've seen this guy a lot, and let me tell you, this guy messes up the Toronto Blue Jays over his career. So it'd be nice to bring a guy over that wouldn't mess us up. We're going to break down who that is in just a moment, but before we do, make sure to hit that like button, smash that subscribe button, also hit that hype button if you are able to do so. Now, let's jump straight into it. The guy that we are talking about is Pete Fairbanks. And if you are a longtime Blue Jay fan, you will know that this guy does mess up the Toronto Blue Jays. And according to Ken Rosenthal, the Blue Jays have expressed interest in free agent right-handed pitcher Pete Fairbanks. And they go on to say in this article, we don't have it because we don't have the New York Times, unfortunately. Just leave me a little too much money for our take. But you go on to say in this article, this Newsweek takes like little snippets of it, basically saying that the Blue Jays were in on very similar pitchers before Pete Fairbanks. They were in on Helsley, who just signed with the Orioles, Raciel Iglesias, and then Phil Maton. Those guys all left the board. And those were those kind of like B tier, C tier dudes after the Edwin Diaz's of the world. And apparently the Blue Jays are staying on the tier looking at Pete Fairbanks. What do you think about that?
I think that Pete Fairbanks is really good, man. I think that you covered a lot right there, right? He's done a lot of work to us in the past. He has been a very quality player in his own right. And this past season, coming up with 27 saves and having an ERA under 3, like ultimately, what is there not to like? I have been very outspoken in saying that walking in with World Series aspirations and having a closer have an ERA in the 4.5 mark probably isn't where you want to live. Pete Fairbanks, that would obviously assist with that a bunch, adding him to that entire, whether he be added in as the immediate closer or added in as closer by committee, obviously that would help.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And look, like just give you guys a comparison. If some of you guys are maybe not thinking like, no, we just want Edwin Diaz instead. Well, if you get Edwin Diaz, that's obviously the cream of the crop, and that's super awesome. But if he's just a little bit outpricing himself because he's expected to get $18 million on the market, and honestly, I expect him to get way more. Like I expect him to get 20, maybe even 25. He was already on a $20 million deal per year. I expect him to get way more than that. So if that's a little bit too pricey for the Blue Jays that are still looking to get back Bo Bichette and maybe a couple other bullpen arms, then maybe you want to go on the little cheaper side of things and stick with a Pete Fairbanks who's expected to get about $13 million per year. And that's kind of roughly in a 3-year deal also, mind you. And that's kind of roughly around where Jeff Hoffman was. So if you get and honestly, those type of deals for a relief pitcher are, manageable for me. $40 million total, $13 million per year. That's something that I think the Blue Jays would be okay with going into do. Now, is it Edwin Diaz? No, but I still really like Pete Fairbanks, like you said.
Yeah, he's not the caliber of Edwin. Edwin is a special type of player, but we always talk about the consistency in that closing and the kind of those high leverage bullpen roles, and having somebody that year to year you can count on, you can depend on to be that guy for you is just so few and so far between in MLB these days. And if you can get one of those guys, you're obviously very happy about it. Pete Fairbanks, whilst he is not, again, of the caliber of Edwin Diaz, he's had a really nice stretch, right? The last 3 seasons, he had a 2.58 ERA in 2023, 25 saves. Following season, that ERA increased by 1, but still 23 saves to his name. And then, obviously, in 2025, lowered it down again. So he's been very consistent, always getting over 20 saves with those Tampa Bay Rays. And if he was a Toronto Blue Jay, I would be very interested to see how they deployed him, because it's like he is, I think, ultimately a little bit better and more consistent than Jeff Hoffman, at least right now. But he's obviously not the same caliber of Edwin Diaz, where it's like immediately you are commanding the closing role, like there's no questions at all. It'd be really neat to see them maybe walk in with a little bit of a closer by committee, and you really are playing who's hot or who's rested or just you like the matchup here, right? Like I think that isn't a bad thing.
Yeah, and honestly, that's what I've been saying for a while is I really wish baseball went away from the traditional closer role, unless you got a guy like Edwin Diaz or a Josh Hader of the world, where it's like, okay, obviously this dude commands the job. But when you have a bullpen like the Blue Jays, after we're seeing what Jeff Hoffman did last year, I can't really tell you there's a number one stud in that bullpen that would command that as of right now. So I'd rather be playing that committee, that closer by committee role where, yeah, if you are playing well, you earn it. And then on the off day, okay, who's next on the totem pole? Who's been playing the second hottest right now? If this guy can't go, our number one guy, then this guy can go. And I get it. Like, we want the big save numbers, but honestly, I'm past that. I would look past save numbers. Save numbers are just, okay, you got the role as the closer. And I know that means that you were the best player on that team, but that's just what it means. You're the best player on the team. I want the best pitcher available in general. So anyways, I feel like it's a long dated thing. I want to compare Jeff Hoffman to Pete Fairbanks now that we're talking about it. When you look over at Jeff Hoffman stuff right here, you could see they're very similar pitchers. Jeff Hoffman, 4-seam fastball and 97 roughly mile per hour average velocity. Then you got the slider as his secondary wipeout pitch. When you look down at the numbers right here, obviously the 4-seamer was not good for Jeff Hoffman last year. That led to a lot of home runs like we saw in the World Series. And then that slider was pretty good. When you look over at Pete Fairbanks, it's pretty much the same dude. 4-seam fastball, a little bit faster in velocity, 97.3 miles per hour. And then again, that slider, actually a bigger difference of drop-offs in terms of velocity. And then looking over down here, same thing. Fastball, 4-seamer, usually when he's on, that's his best pitch. And then the slider as the secondary wipeout. So very similar pitchers. It's like, yeah, again, performance will tell me who deserves that closing role at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I do think, honestly, like Pete Fairbanks, it'd be interesting. I would personally walk in the regular season and look at him as my guy, but then if he doesn't have it, obviously you'd make the transition to Jeff Hoffman. Ultimately, though, like regardless of how they decide to deploy them, adding somebody in who is as quality as Pete would be phenomenal. And looking over at the bullpen, just take everybody and move them down a spot, because that's ultimately what would be happening. You are adding in somebody who is top quality and would be part of the 7th, 8th, 9th inning against the best hitters in the opposing team's lineup. It means that you don't have to have who are we thinking is on the chopping block here? Nance?
Yeah, because you want Little. You still want
Little because of the lefty.
Yeah,
I would love it if they go out and they get a lefty in the bullpen. Sadly, Pete Fairbanks is not that guy. But either way, it takes one of those volatile names out of there for now. Clearly, there will be things that happen in the season, injuries and underperformances, but walking in, you can feel a lot better about the depth that you have in that bullpen, just getting another name that is really good, and also stealing him away from the Tampa Bay Rays, where he's been kicking our ass for, seasons at this point.
Yeah, I thought this was a funny note. I was trying to find something to be like, okay, well, why should we get Pete Fairbanks? Because, he kicks the ass of other AL East teams. Like, that's not necessarily true. He does pretty well in his career against the Orioles with a 2.55 ERA, a whip of 1.05. But the Boston Red Sox have beat him up over the years. But maybe that's Rafael Devers, because he's always got to face Rafael Devers in the 9th inning. He's gone. He has a 4.03 ERA against them. He's not too bad against the Yankees, a 3.33 ERA. But when you look over at the Toronto Blue Jays, a 1.33 ERA over 27 innings, a whip of 1.07. Yeah, it'd be nice to get rid of a guy that would constantly beat us up, out there. Bring him on our team, right? If you can't beat him, join him kind of thing.
Yeah, he has been phenomenal against us. Actually, could you scroll down and just see how has he been at the Rogers Center? Okay, so here you got him with a 2.25 ERA. Only 8 innings pitched at the Rogers Center, interestingly enough. So I guess with all those COVID, everything that happened in COVID, and then I guess he's played a lot of games in Tampa Bay and in Tropicana, but still, good sample size there. So for me, he's not Edwin, but this would be almost the next best thing. If you're not going to go and you're not going to trade for somebody, this is probably your next best option on the free agency market when it comes to the closing role. You don't have to completely break the bank to go and get him. And I still think it allows you to then go and flirt with the idea of bringing in Cal Tucker, or go and flirt with the idea of getting Bo Bichette. And it doesn't mean that you're done with the bullpen either. This would be your upper echelon addition. You can still go and add some of those middling inning individuals to help out the Brendan Littles of the world.
Maybe get a lefty. I'd be very interested to see if the Blue Jays go and got another lefty. Pete Fairbanks is a righty, but I would want to see them go get a middle tier lefty. That'd be another move. I don't know who else is out there. If you guys want to let us know in the comments down below, we'd be loving to talk about him, because I feel like giving Brendan Little a little bit of a break would be nice for 2026.
100%, dude. Ultimately, though, a cease to the rotation, Fairbanks to the bullpen. If that's how they wanted to start off their free agency, like no complaints from me, zero complaints at all. Now, ultimately, you're looking at bringing back Bo Bichette, and then it is just pure upside after that. If they even wanted to go and do anything after that, that would be chef's kiss.
Well, guys, it's the holiday season now, so hopefully we get a gift coming soon. Apparently, according to Ken Rosenthal, that could be the case. But guys, let us know your thoughts in the comments down below. Hit that like button, smash that subscribe button. It is only $4 a month to become a YouTube member. Shout out, thank you to all of our current YouTube members. You guys are amazing.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching, everybody. And as always,
go Jays, go!